Why, hello there all, and as promised, today we're going to talk a little bit about light gun games, specifically PlayStation 1 light gun games. And what better way to start that off than to actually look at a few light guns. So if you're interested in getting into PlayStation light gun games, of course, maybe the most obvious light gun to get for the system would be this particular one. This is the Namco G-Con 45. So this is the one most people are probably familiar with, and it's a fantastic gun. It feels great in the hand, trigger's got a lovely click to it, everything works as it should, 2 buttons on either side, A and B button used to navigate certain in-game menus, continue game if you need to, and it's great. It's got good weight to it. It's actually not really got much weight, it's quite light, which is perfect. I really like that about it. And the design's kind of cool. It's just kind of a classic gaming peripheral now, this one. So if you're interested at all in PlayStation light gun games, then I think you do far worse than pick up this one. The one I've got bundled in a box like this, along with Time Crisis, which is a great place to start for PlayStation light gun games. We're going to look at a few different ones though in this episode. But maybe that doesn't suit you. Maybe you'd like a pedal for your light gun. Of course, a game like Time Crisis is so much better when played with a pedal. So what options have you got for that? Well, first of all, you've got this one over here. A lovely blue gun. Now, I'm not so familiar with the branding of this, but it's a Competition Pro gun. You may find it in a box that looks like this. 3-in-1. So, the cool thing about this is not only do you have, as I mentioned previously, a foot pedal, ducking in and out of cover, but you also have the ability to use this on a Saturn as well as a PlayStation. Of course, the nice thing about using it on a Saturn is you don't need to plug this bit in for the AV. And it works straight out of the box, very accurate for the Saturn. I was playing a bit of House of Dead with it, and it's a very good gun. The trigger doesn't click in as much as the G-Con 45, for example, but you have still got it's similar in design, more traditional style handle. You've got the A and B buttons on the side, and a cool little deco of a wolf there, so you know you're playing with power here. And apparently this is compatible with all shooting games by Namco for the PlayStation. So at least you know that straight out of the box. So this is perfect for Time Crisis, really. So if you want to play Time Crisis with a pedal, then this gun's rather good. I mean, as well, it's light, just like the G-Con 45. It's got a few extra bits and pieces as well. Got a very long cord. Yeah. I recommend this one if you can find it. It's got some sort of turbo switch on the back, which I haven't actually experimented with. But that's the Competition Pro laser game gun 3-in-1 with your pedal there, which is actually detachable as well. So if you don't want the pedal on it, you can unplug it here. So that's a very cool gun. Next up, we've got this one. Now this one, I have to say, compared to the last two we looked at, isn't that great, to be honest. This is another gun that's compatible with both the Saturn and the PlayStation 1. So here you have a little connection doodah here. Obviously Saturn, PlayStation. Of course it has your little cord there, video cord for plugging into your... And something I realised, being not incredibly familiar with light gun games on PlayStation, but the thought had crossed my mind of if you've got multiple light gun games, how can you stick them all into the same video port? And you just stack them up, quite simply, you just stack them up on top of this, which is cool and works fine. This is what it looks like, and it's quite cool. Really nice aesthetic to it. It's got lots of buttons on it, which I don't know exactly what they do, but maybe the box will help us. We've got the, it's called the Turbo Gun, and it's upside down. Turbo Gun. Made by FT Products, Time Crisis compatible of course, which is what everyone needs. It's got a long cable, it's got 2 turbo fire speeds and an auto reload button. It's cool that it works with both formats, it's always nice to have. One thing you do have to be aware of though is how you plug these in. Because of the fatness of this cord and what pokes out the side, you might not necessarily be able to plug 2 of these in, or maybe if you've got 2 different brands they may work together. These 2 work together on the Saturn just about, but if you had 2 of these for example, I don't know how they should work, but yeah, just bear that in mind. But this feels a bit cheap compared to the others. Handle isn't quite as nice, it's a little bit heavier than the other guns we've talked about. It says Terra Nexus on the side. Maybe the gun could be referred to that. 3 buttons. They do, you know, the turbo fire and such, and yeah. But I wouldn't bother with this one so much unless you really have to. You find it for a cheap price and you want a gun for Saturn that's cheap. But here it's a bit of a. You really have to jam hard on the trigger to fire. You can't just flick it gently. You have to push down. So it's okay, but there are better. Like this gun here. This gun for me is the pick of the bunch because it's got just about everything and more. Here it is. I'm just going to drag it up here because it's got pedal as well. This gun is made by Logic 3. It's the laser blaster with reload pedal. So first of all, it's got a lot going for it. The fact that it actually has a pedal, and it's a more substantial pedal than the other one. It's lighter, I'd say actually, but it's bigger. And it works absolutely perfectly, and just plugs into the bottom of the gun there. This gun actually also is nice because it isn't too big, and it's light at the same time, which is really cool. I'll give you a closer look at this gun. So there it is. You've got, you know, so all sorts of buttons on the side there. That's because this gun is not only compatible with PlayStation 1, it's compatible with PlayStation 2. It isn't unfortunately compatible with Saturn as well, that would have been amazing, but if you want a gun for PlayStation for 1 and 2 formats, then this is the one to get. Basically you just switch between the formats on the side of it, GunCon 2 and normal. I don't know what normal might be, like the equivalent of a Justifier perhaps. Like the Konami Justifier was also available for the PS1. I can't get any games I've used. Sorry, I can't get Area 51 to work with any of these guns I've talked about. Area 51 being quite a popular, well-renowned light gun game available for PlayStation 1. I think maybe if I switch to the normal mode, maybe it'll work with it. I've certainly tried the GunCon mode. But the other guns don't stand and work with Area 51, just to let you know. A bit sidetracked there, but this gun is great. And as well as having the pedal being compatible with PlayStation 1 and 2, you've also got a laser sight, which is totally unnecessary, and maybe slightly dangerous to give to a child, for instance. Maybe that's not a good idea. You can adjust the laser sight so it will actually line up properly with what you're aiming at on screen. Might be a novel fun thing for an adult gamer, but also always with laser sights be careful with that, you don't want to blind anybody. But it's also got recoil, which is probably the coolest thing about this gun. So when you pull the trigger, which itself is nice, responsive and comfortable, as is the handle, you'll get a recoil on the gun, and that really adds to the arcade experience. Couple that with a pedal and you've got for me the ultimate light gun for PlayStation 1 and 2. So try and pick that up if you can, if you're into it. It's Logic 3 and it's called the Laser Blaster. I think it's come in several different varieties. This particular one is branded on the box here as being the PS099L. I think it gets referred to as other things, or maybe that version's slightly different, I don't know, but this one I've got in my hand right now. Can't go wrong with that. Okay. So that's that's the guns. And what good are the guns without the games? Luckily, I've been playing a few recently, and I can talk about them briefly with you here today. We've got, first of all, start with a fairly standard but enjoyable light gun game, and that's Judge Dredd. This is an FMV game with 3D 3D characters. I was going to say polygonal characters there, but I know that would be the wrong word. So basically you scroll through an FMV sequence, but the characters are created in 3 dimensions and they pop up. It's not bloody or anything like that. It actually has a 3+ age marking on it. I think mostly because the aliens you shoot are all sort of cyborg characters. It's very explosive, very exciting, very in-your-face action. It isn't the best light gun game, but it certainly is entertaining. It's sort of like a really straightforward light gun game. It does the job. It doesn't use a cover pedal or anything like that, but it's a bit of fun. That's Judge Dredd. It's got some cool FMV cutscenes, as well as the FMV sort of travelling around the levels. There's little cutscenes between, so that's quite nice. I'll move on to something that's really different actually. It's made by Namco, and it's Rescue Shot. Rescue Shot I would describe as a storybook type game, where you're presented with quite a cute little story about a character called Bo who's travelling and he falls off a cliff and bumps his head, and you need to help him out basically because he's a little bit lost and he's wandering around and he's being attacked by these bully bats and other enemies. So basically you follow Bo on his travels through like a hovering camera that follows him around, and enemies will pop up and you shoot them basically. It's not always as straightforward as that, and there are strategies you need, because the different enemy types have different strategies for attacking Bo. And for example, there'll be birds that fly holding bombs. The idea there is to shoot the bomb to explode the bird. If you shoot the bird itself, it will drop the bomb and it might hit Bo. So there are some strategies around there, and you make Bo jump by shooting him, not in the head. I've made that mistake. You have to shoot him on his body so he will jump, and certain parts of the game will call for you to jump over obstacles. So Rescue Shot's really unique, and it's good for kids. If you want to get a light gun game for kids and you don't want something that's too violent, then this is really great, and actually it's rather fun and unique experience for any age. So I'd recommend Rescue Shot. It's got some cool characters and great sense of humour as well. Next up is Ghoul Panic. In this game you've got I think it was ghosts attacking cats. You play as a cat character and you've got to shoot all the ghosts in a mansion basically. It's cool. I haven't spent a lot of time with this. We did a little bit of the multiplayer the other day. Oh, I'll just mention that a lot of these games also are mouse compatible as well, so if you have a PlayStation mouse and you prefer to use that, then that is an option with a lot of these games. This one also uses a mouse. It's bright, colourful, cartoony, really chunky graphics, nice animation. If you want a fun and colourful, rather straightforward light gun game, again more suitable for kids, then Ghoul Panic is great. It's Namco, it's good. You can't really go wrong with Namco. Here we have, I'll talk about these two together because there's really not a lot separating them. That's Point Blank 2 and 3. I don't have Point Blank 1, and these are my only 2 experiences with the Point Blank series. But these are a section of mini-games, timed mini-games, where you have different criteria to fulfill each mini-game, and they're really fun. There's a lot of variety within the mini-games. Some are more straightforward than others, but it's got a great sense of humour, great music, especially Point Blank 3 has a very alternative but very catchy tune running through it. So 2 really great arcade style, very good multiplayer light gun games there in the Point Blank series, and I'm sure Point Blank 1 is as good as those 2. Here's a familiar series. It's Time Crisis. Time Crisis Project Titan. This is a single player Time Crisis game. It's fairly straightforward. It's not quite as interesting as the other Time Crisis games, I wouldn't say, but it uses the same duck and cover mechanics. It doesn't use a mouse, funnily enough. So it's more of a bare bones light gun game, but it's fine, it's okay. I'd probably say it's a little bit better than Judge Dredd, but it's more of, yeah, that's cool, but nothing amazing. Next up would be something that's actually really, really good fun, and that's Gunfighter, The Legend of Jesse James. This is a non-Namco, non-Time Crisis light gun game that actually makes use of a pedal. It's not as frantic as some of the other games we've looked at, but the pace of it's really refreshing. It's got a great Wild West atmosphere, great music, graphics are good, the shooting feels a lot more straightforward in this game, but it's very accurate with the gun I use. I use the Logic 3 laser blaster for this, and really great. I played through the first mission. Looks like there's tons more variety in it in later missions, different weapons and such. But I can't praise this one enough. I definitely think you should check it out if you're interested in PlayStation 1 light gun games. And I'm pretty sure it's got a sequel on PS2. So do check that one. The next two games I'm only going to talk about very briefly because I haven't been able to play them with the light gun. But I'm led to believe you can. And as I previously mentioned, this is Area 51. Area 51, yeah, I don't know what the deal with this. I couldn't use any of my light guns that I tried with it. It wouldn't work. But then again, I think I tried this one, the laser blaster from Logic 3, but under the GunCon setting it didn't work. And then I tried the regular GunCon 45 and that didn't work. I'm wondering if maybe one of these two guns works with it, but I'm not sure yet, so I haven't given it a go. But yeah, I look forward to trying it. It's an arcade classic, it's digitised characters, FMV, a very typical Midway arcade game, but it looks like a ton of fun. Love to give it a go soon. Another game that looks like fun is Die Hard Trilogy, which has a light gun section in it. Basically the game's split up into 3 different games based on the original 3 Die Hard films, hence the title, Die Hard Trilogy. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, is the light gun game in the package, and we had a go at this one, but we couldn't get it to recognise the light gun because it's one of those games which seems to require a controller to get through menus. So I don't know if it's because we were using the wrong light gun. It's another one I'm going to have to do a little bit more experimenting with to figure out how to play this one. I'll do a little bit of research online, and it'll take a moment, I'm sure. But I just thought I'd mention that it is another light gun game, or at least in part, that you can get on the PlayStation 1. There's a few I haven't talked about, like of course the original Time Crisis, which is a great game. Recommend that. And there's Point Blank 1, which I'm looking forward to giving a go sometime. If there's any other light gun games that you guys recommend, then just write a comment below and let me know, and I'd love to check out more, because I'm really into the light gun at the moment. I tell you what, the amount of fun I was having with the Gunfighter game just now before doing this video, a lot of fun. And the majority of these are multiplayer, and I really enjoy the light gun games in multiplayer as well. It is a real shame that Project Titan isn't available in multiplayer. But that's it for now. I think it's probably quite a long video. It's covering the guns and the games. But if you get any comments, let me know. Any suggestions, please write below. And thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheerio, and game on.